Just go on ahead whenever you're ready.
Well, hi there. So our topic is the concept attainment that was founded on a work of Jerome Berner in 1973. And this groups information into 4 characteristics, that is, analyze, categorize, test the categories, and generate critical attributes. The following are the steps for Concept Attainment Model.
Select and define the concept. Select the attributes.
Next, be sure to develop positive and negative examples. Next, introduce the process to the students, and then present the examples and list the attributes.
Finally, discuss and evaluate the process with your class.
There are many advantages. The first one is to help make connections between what the students know and what they will be learning.
Another advantage of Concept Attainment Model is that it helps students to learn how to examine a concept from a number of perspectives.
Also, students will learn to sort out relevant information.
Students also go beyond merely associating the key term with the definition. Thus, the concept is learned more thoroughly and retention is improved.
This also extends their knowledge of a concept by classifying more than one example of that concept.
Okay, so let's take a look at the concept attainment model in action, step by step. Let's say you want to introduce the concept of duality or dualism. This is a concept that is taught to students in philosophy and history courses every year and was a staple for not just the Greeks, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, but also for the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu and later René Descartes of Reformation Europe. Now that we have our concept, we need to define it. Here I have provided a definition for dualism I acquired with a quick reference to Google. The division of something conceptually into 2 opposed or contrasted aspects, or the state of being so divided. But we will keep this definition to ourselves for the time being. Students will need to analyze your series of hints before putting the pieces together themselves and understanding what dualism is, even if they don't know the word for what they're defining or explaining. Their job is to explain what your concept is through a process of critical thinking. When it's all said and done, you will tell them what it is. Now we need to gather positive examples which correctly depict aspects of duality. The first example must be a positive example, so that your students immediately have an image or phrase to analyze and can refer to later in the exercise. For us, let's use something easy, like day and night. Show your students an image, or some representation of both day and night, and label this image yes, in a place the students will easily notice. Your students will begin to analyze the image or images shown and pull them apart little by little. In the example I've given, this painting of a landscape lit by half sun and half by the moon is a perfect example for this kind of duality. Day and night are contrasting aspects of a particular dualism, which can easily be identified by students. It is important to immediately follow up your yes example with a no example, so your students will begin to differentiate between the yeses and the nos right off the bat. Here I'm using wheat and wheat bread. True enough, they are different products altogether, but they are not dualistic or fundamentally opposites. They are different, but do share the similar theme of food. No examples can be tricky. Just how difficult should your no answers be? That's entirely up to you, but I would suggest refraining from making them painfully simple. The more challenging a no example is, the more your students can analyze it and later explain exactly why your example does not correspond to your concept. This can lead to fun and meaningful classroom discussions when your examples are heavily subjective or culturally relative. For example, the image here of 2 horses, one brown and one black, is an easy no image. Although they are different colors, they are far too similar and in no way fundamental differences. Students will have to begin thinking about how the day-night painting is a proper example of the concept and how these examples are not. Try to avoid too many no examples in a row. This may greatly begin to confuse the students if they don't have enough yes examples to make comparisons with. Speaking of yes examples, here I have an image of the widely used man and woman identifiers for public restrooms and other facilities to represent another yes example of dualism. Students should begin to find a pattern between day-night and man-woman. More yes examples will offer a clearer understanding of the concept, while the no's will give the concept boundaries. Returning to difficult examples. Some of your examples can be very subjective, leaving a lot of room for interpretation. For example, when I was looking for an image to correlate with happy-sad, I came across this. It's a tad grim, but the dualism of life and death can be interpreted from this. But perhaps so too can alive, dead, a slightly different, but still specific dualism. It's examples like this that will be the greatest mind teasers for your students and will provoke stimulating conversations that are purely based on cultural or personal interpretation. This does, however, make it more difficult, and should perhaps be best administered to students from maybe 9th to 12th grade. These kinds of analytical skills will prove important once in college, but ultimately it's up to you to use your best judgment for what is appropriate for your students. The following are a few more yes examples for duality. Old and young. Walking Dead fans, anybody? Big and small. And this one, another very subjective example, I found while searching for ugly and beautiful, but immediately thought good and evil. Things 1 and 2 are different as individuals, but are not fundamentally opposite from one another, nor the cat and dog, who, although are obviously very different, do not fall as opposites on a spectrum of mammals or animals in general. Well, now it's your turn. We came up with a concept that will be up to you to decipher. We threw in a couple challenging examples that will hopefully give you a harder time. You know, just for fun. Good luck, and thanks for watching our video on the Concept Attainment Model.